Hello, fellow mathematicians. You have decided to come to the YouTube video so that we can go through these slides together. So welcome. Our learning intention is to read and interpret graphs, and you can see that as the heading at the top of my slide. Our success criteria are to read and understand the graph, to look at information within the graph and answer questions, and to know that the data within a graph can be used to make predictions. This is your first job. What I want you to do is copy this graph into your maths book as close to the example that's in front of you as possible, because this gives us lots of information about the terms that we use to describe maths. So we've got the title, the quantities, the x-axis, the y-axis, the axis title, the categories, and in this case, because it's a bar graph, the bars. So pause the video and use your ruler and your best work to make a copy of this exemplar into your maths book. Once you've done that, you're back with me. We're going to go through the next set of slides and answer the questions. All of the questions I have highlighted in yellow at the bottom of the slide. There's enough information on each graph to be able to answer the questions. Some questions are asking you to use your background knowledge or the things that you already know about how shops work. This graph is looking at how many sandwiches are sold in a sandwich shop each hour throughout the day of business. You can see on the y-axis, which is the vertical side, we've got the number of sandwiches. On the x-axis, which is the horizontal part, we've got the day broken into 1 hour slots. The question is asking us how many sandwiches are sold between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Don't get tricked by the times. Let's have a look. Here is 8 p.m. and we can see that 25 sandwiches are sold. 9 p.m. is actually off the scale. It would be all the way up here. So it's asking you within a day's business how many sandwiches are sold altogether. Show your working, please. Write down your addition, or if you're adding in your head, that's fine. You still need to write down the sum. So you'll be adding 25 from here, plus 10, plus 5, plus, where does that fit? 5, 6, about 7, plus 30, plus 25, and so on. These ones that aren't exactly on the line, you have to, in your head, break this line up into 5 bits and work out how much over 5 this is. To me, that looks at about 6. So add them up and write down question 1 and your answer. Let's go on to the next one. This one is asking you how many more sandwiches are sold between 12 and 1 and 9 and 10. So we go to 9 and 10 a.m. in the morning. So we've got 10 and 15 here. Then we're comparing it to 12 and 1. Here is 12. Whoa, there's 30 plus 25. So you will be comparing these two with those two. What's the difference? Write down question 2 and your answer. Let's go to the next slide. Question 3. Which times of the day are most sandwiches sold? So you need to look at the graph, and because these are visual images, it's very easy to see what time most sandwiches are sold. Then you need to use your connection with what happens in the outside world at food shops and at lunchtime. Make those connections and find a reasonable answer as to why you think most sandwiches are sold here. Question 4. We're still looking at the same information. It's how many sandwiches are sold every hour in a sandwich shop. Question 4 is asking us, looking at the graph, what time do you think the sandwich shop opens? See if you can work that out. Write down question 4 and your answer. Make sure your eyes are going to this x-axis, which is talking about time. Question 5, looking at the graph. What time do you think the sandwich shop closes? Again, using your knowledge of what happens in the outside world. What time does this shop close? And directing your eyes towards these times and what's happening there. Question 6. Why do you think there is a sudden increase of sandwiches being sold at 5 o'clock? Isn't that interesting? We can see that a lot of sandwiches are sold here in the morning when people are on their way to work. Then there's a dip for morning tea time. Then we see a rise again at lunchtime. Then a dip for afternoon tea time. And then just here, when people have finished work and they're on their way home, there's a small rise again. We're asking you to explain what do you think happens here. Think about what you know about yourself and other people and their food intake or hunger levels at different times during the day, and have a guess as to why you think more sandwiches are being sold at 5 o'clock. Number 7. The owner of the shop wants to put another member of staff on to cover tomorrow's busiest time. What time do you think the owner will tell them they have to work? Well, the graph is showing us when the busiest time is. Right, question 7 and your answer. Now for each of these questions, hopefully you have paused the video and written your answers for questions 1 through to 7. And the next point I'd like to make to you is that the graph hasn't told us the answers to all of the questions that I've just asked you. You have interpreted the information from the graph to give your best answers. So graphs give us information, but they don't give us the answers until we actually extrapolate the information from the graph or read the graph and interpret the graph, which is what you've just done. So well done. Let's have another go. Next question, our plenary question. This question I'm going to let you do on your own because this is going to show me whether or not you can read this graph. It's the same information. Another question. How many more sandwiches were sold between midday to 1 p.m. than 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.? Pause the video and have a go at that question. Next slide. We've got a brand new slide here, and again, I would like you to do this on your own. You're using the information or the techniques that we just practiced, and you're applying them to another bar graph. The graph says, a graph to show how many ice creams were sold throughout the year. The questions are, in which 3 months was the most ice cream sold? Why do you think this is? Which 2 months had the lowest scales? When were the least ice creams sold? Why do you think this is? Do that on your own. Make sure that you are numbering your questions. And perhaps with this one, you can put a little heading, ice cream questions, please. Well done, everybody. Make sure that you submit your answers on Dojo so that your teachers can have a look. And remember, you can go back and review this video anytime you like.